Most people think attraction begins with a smile, a compliment, or a clever line. It doesn't. It begins long before words ever leave the mouth inside the invisible chemistry of the body. While conversation is conscious, desire is biological, automatic, and brutally honest. A woman can rehearse what she say, but she can't rehearse how her heart rate shifts when she's near someone who excites her. She can choose her words, but she can't choose how her pupils react, how her breath deepens, or how her body angles itself towards someone who's just triggered a 1,000-year-old instinct. That's what this video is really about, the truth beneath the talk. Because the modern world has trained men to listen politely, not to observe. We've been told to decode mixed messages and endless texts, yet the real conversation is happening silently, through the nervous system, posture, and micro-movements that no one can fake. Her biology speaks first. Her words come later. Every glance, every adjustment of her body, every flicker in her voice is a signal written by evolution, not social conditioning. Think about it. For most of human history, women had to communicate desire in ways that were subtle enough to protect them, but clear enough for the right man to understand. That ancient code still runs today, it's just hidden beneath modern manners. And the men who learn to read it gain an advantage that feels almost unfair. Because once you learn what her body is saying, you'll realize something startling. She's already told you everything you need to know. You just haven't been fluent in her language yet. Before modern dating apps, before language, before perfume or social etiquette, human attraction was a matter of survival. A woman's body became her first and most reliable form of communication. Words were a late invention, but biology has been talking for hundreds of thousands of years. Every subtle shift in posture, every tilt of the head, every glance that lingers half a second too long, they all come from that ancient system that once determined who passed on their genes and who vanished from history. To understand why women's bodies send hidden signals, you have to think in evolutionary terms. Throughout history, women faced a paradox. They needed to attract desirable mates without putting themselves in danger or appearing too openly available. A woman who broadcasted her desire too obviously risked judgment, rejection, or harm. But one who hid it completely risked missing her opportunity to reproduce with a strong, resourceful, or intelligent partner. So nature built a compromise, a system of subtlety. Her body learned to whisper what her words could never safely say. Those whispers became physical cues wired into her nervous system. They're not performed, not learned, and not consciously chosen. When she's attracted, her physiology betrays her. Her pupils expand to take in more light. Her skin flushes with warmth, her breathing deepens, and her muscles unconsciously relax. These are remnants of a biological mechanism designed to communicate sexual openness while maintaining plausible deniability. In other words, she can signal desire while pretending she's not. This duality, the mix of communication and concealment, is the foundation of human courtship. It's why so many men misread friendliness as flirtation and genuine attraction as indifference. Because they're not trained to read what biology is saying beneath the surface. Society teaches men to focus on dialogue and behavior, but not the instinctive responses that evolved long before speech. Her words might follow modern rules, but her body follows ancient laws. Understanding this is like cracking a secret code. It's not manipulation, it's awareness. You're not reading minds. You're reading nature. The same nature that makes a heart race during danger now fires during desire. And those signals, those involuntary biological cues, are the closest thing you'll ever get to honesty and attraction. But here's where it gets fascinating. These ancient patterns didn't disappear with evolution, they simply adapted. Women today still use them subconsciously because they work. The same cues that attracted the best mates in primitive tribes are the same cues that draw attention in a cafe or on a crowded city street. The biology hasn't changed, only the setting has. So when you see a woman's body subtly adjusting toward you, when her voice softens or her laughter lingers, what you're witnessing isn't performance, it's programming. It's the echo of thousands of generations of survival-based signaling playing out through one person's nervous system. The trick is learning to see it for what it truly is. Not randomness, not coincidence, but communication written in the oldest language on Earth. And once you begin to recognize these biological codes, you stop guessing and start seeing. Because the body doesn't lie, it simply remembers. Attraction doesn't start with a choice, it starts with the body betraying the mind. When a woman feels genuine desire, her autonomic nervous system, the part that controls everything she doesn't consciously think about, takes over. It's the same system that makes your heart race before a fight, your palms sweat before a big moment, or your stomach drop when you're nervous. Except now, it's not reacting to danger. It's reacting to desire. And what happens inside her body is as real and measurable as a heartbeat. Her heart rate rises subtly, pushing more blood to her skin. Her pupils expand, not because of lighting, but because her body wants to take in more of the man standing in front of her. Her breathing deepens as her nervous system tries to regulate that new rush of energy. She might shift her weight, adjust her posture, or suddenly seem more alive in her movements, all small automatic reactions to heightened arousal. None of it is rehearsed. None of it is fake. What's fascinating is that these signals evolve not to be obvious, but to be interpretable only by men who are paying attention. The subtlety is part of the design. It lets her express attraction while protecting her from the vulnerability of being too exposed. This is why some men constantly miss these cues, because they're trained to listen for words instead of watching the unspoken signals that biology sends first. Science has confirmed that these physiological responses are beyond conscious control. A woman can hide her feelings with a smile, but she can't stop her pupils from expanding or her skin from warming. Her body leaks truth through involuntary changes, even if her mind wants to appear composed. And that's the paradox of attraction. It reveals itself precisely when we try to hide it. This is the moment where energy shifts in a room. You feel it before you consciously notice it. There's an invisible tension, a biological charge that's been recognized since the beginning of human courtship. Her body is essentially saying, "Something about you is activating me," and even if she tries to maintain her composure, her nervous system has already made the announcement. Once you understand this, you start to see interactions differently. You stop looking for approval or overanalyzing words. You begin to notice the pulse behind the performance, the flicker of something primal that slips through her posture, her breathing, her stillness. Because no matter how advanced our technology or how civilized our manners become, the body is still running the same ancient program. And if you know how to read it, you realize something simple but powerful. Attraction isn't spoken. It's felt first, seen second, and only then, if ever, confessed in words. They say the eyes never lie, and when it comes to attraction, that's truer than most people realize. The eyes are directly wired to the autonomic nervous system, meaning they respond before conscious thought ever catches up. When a woman feels genuine desire, her pupils dilate, not because of lighting, but because her body is trying to take in more of what it wants to see. This reaction happens in milliseconds. She might not even realize it's happening, but her biology has already made the announcement, "I'm interested." But it isn't just about size. It's about rhythm. The gaze of a woman who's attracted feels different. It lingers. It revisits. It flickers between your eyes and your mouth, like a conversation her words are too shy to start. You'll feel it before you analyze it, a pull, a kind of magnetic tension that makes time stretch just a little longer than it should. That's not coincidence. It's the nervous system using vision as a form of touch. Researchers call this mutual gaze a biological mechanism that deepens connection and heightens arousal. When she holds your eyes longer than necessary, her brain is releasing a cocktail of dopamine and oxytocin, the same chemicals tied to pleasure and bonding. Her face softens, her eyelids lower slightly, creating what's often described as bedroom eyes. It's a look that feels calm but charged, familiar yet electric. You'll also notice something else. She looks at your mouth. Not once, not casually, but repeatedly, as if drawn to it. This isn't random curiosity, it's preoccupation. It's her subconscious rehearsing intimacy before it happens. Combined with dilated pupils and that subtle, slowed blinking pattern, this mouth gaze is one of the most reliable indicators of sexual interest. Here's the irony: most men miss it. They're too busy focusing on conversation, trying to impress, to notice that her eyes have already betrayed her composure. The truth is, sexual eye contact isn't about communication, it's about chemistry. It's the silent electricity that turns ordinary talk into something charged with meaning. And when you learn to recognize that look, the extended gaze, the repeated return, the faint blush that accompanies it, you stop needing verbal confirmation. Because her eyes have already told the story, her words never will. The eyes are the gateway between social politeness and primal truth. They're where biology and emotion collide, where her composure begins to dissolve. You just have to be aware enough to see what most men never notice. When words stay polite, the body starts speaking. One of the first giveaways of real attraction isn't in what she says, but in how her body positions itself around you. It's subtle, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Every movement becomes a sentence in a language written by instinct. A woman who feels drawn to you doesn't just stand anywhere, she orients. Her torso faces you even when her friends are talking from another angle. Her hips point in your direction like a compass that's quietly chosen its north. Her feet mirror yours, closing the space inch by inch. It's not choreography. It's magnetism. The body turns toward what it desires and away from what it fears or ignores. And when attraction kicks in, gravity seems to pull her closer whether she wants to admit it or not. Posture is another tell. When she's aroused, she straightens unconsciously. Her shoulders pull back, chest slightly lifted, stomach tightened. It's not vanity, it's the biological display of vitality, fertility, and confidence. It's the same instinct that made women throughout history stand taller before men they desired, even when every word had to remain modest. The body performs for attraction without permission. Watch how she closes distance. A step closer during conversation. A lean that keeps her inside your personal bubble. She might not even notice it, but her nervous system does. It's trying to minimize space, to create an environment where touch feels natural. That's why proximity is one of the most consistent markers of desire. People don't inch closer to those who make them uncomfortable. They do it to those they want to feel. Barriers, or the lack of them, speak volumes too. A woman who's merely being polite keeps objects between you, a purse, a drink, folded arms. But a woman who's genuinely drawn removes them. She leaves the path between you open, her stance relaxed, her weight tilted forward. Her body isn't protecting itself, it's inviting connection. And then there's the unconscious mimicry, the mirroring of your movements, your energy, your pace. When she's aligned with you emotionally, her body starts syncing with yours physically. She shifts when you shift, relaxes when you relax, matches your rhythm without effort. This is her nervous system signaling harmony, a silent message of "we're in sync." All of this happens before a single bold word or flirtatious line is spoken. It's biology rehearsing intimacy. The posture, the angles, the space, all of it tells the story of attraction that politeness tries to hide. The body, after all, doesn't negotiate. It simply reacts. And when you learn to read its movements, you stop being confused by what's said and start understanding what's meant. Touch is the body's oldest language, and when desire enters the room, it starts speaking fluently. Long before a woman admits attraction verbally, her nervous system begins testing boundaries through subtle contact. The first touches are never random. They're small experiments wrapped in plausible excuses. A brush against your arm as she laughs. Her hand grazing yours when she passes something. A shoulder bump that lingers a little too long. Each of these accidents is a biological probe, a way to measure safety and chemistry at the same time. The difference between friendly and lustful touch lies in energy. Friendly touch is functional, it happens for a reason. Lustful touch feels electric, slightly charged, as though her body is checking how yours responds. If you stay relaxed, her system registers permission and the contact evolves. She starts initiating more, an arm on your shoulder, a light hand on your chest, fingers that rest instead of retreating. She might fix imaginary lint from your jacket, or touch your wrist while talking, each time closing the gap between curiosity and confirmation. But it's not just about touching you, it's about touching herself. When a woman is aroused, self-touch becomes a form of self-display. She play with her hair, trace her neck, smooth her clothing, or let her hand drift down her thigh. It's a subconscious invitation, her body saying, "This is where I want your attention." These gestures are primal echoes of attraction rituals that have existed since the dawn of humanity. Her movements draw your gaze without a word. What makes these signals so powerful is that they bypass intellect entirely. She may not even realize she's doing it, but her biology is running the show. The skin becomes hypersensitive during attraction. Touch releases oxytocin and dopamine, amplifying warmth and trust. That's why even the lightest brush of contact between two people who feel chemistry can feel more intense than a deep conversation. Another sign is how she reacts when you touch her. A woman who's not interested will subtly withdraw, create distance, or stiffen. But the one who's genuinely attracted will lean in, not away. She linger in the contact, extend it just a fraction longer than necessary. That slight delay, the refusal to break touch, is her unspoken answer. Touch escalation isn't about aggression. It's about awareness. It's noticing when her body language invites connection instead of resisting it. Because when two nervous systems sync through touch, something ancient happens. It's the body remembering its own blueprint for intimacy. And once that moment begins, words become secondary. Every relationship that ever existed, every spark, every romance, every affair began with one thing, a touch that didn't need an explanation. If the eyes reveal what she sees, the voice reveals what she feels. When attraction takes over, her tone becomes the most seductive instrument of all because desire doesn't just change her body, it reshapes the way she speaks. Her words might stay polite, but the rhythm, pitch, and texture of her voice start to betray something deeper. And she can't stop it, because it's not a conscious act, it's chemistry. Sexual arousal triggers subtle physiological reactions. Muscles around the larynx relax, her breathing deepens, and her vocal cords vibrate differently. The result is a sound that's lower, smoother, and more breathy than usual. You'll hear it in the way she says your name, in the softness between her sentences, in the pauses that hang just a second too long. It's as if her voice slows down to sync with her heartbeat. Her speech rhythm changes too. When she's drawn to you, her words come in waves slower, more deliberate, more melodic. She isn't rushing to fill silence. She's savoring it. Her laughter stretches longer. Her sighs become audible, and her tone takes on a warm, velvety quality that feels personal. It's her nervous system trying to pull you closer through sound alone. This isn't manipulation, it's biology's way of saying, I'm comfortable, I'm tuned into you. Volume is another clue. The woman who's interested doesn't project her voice outward like she's addressing a crowd. She lowers it. She speaks softly enough that you have to lean in to hear her. That tiny movement, the lean, creates a shared space, a private pocket of intimacy that belongs only to the two of you. It's one of the oldest social dances in human history. She lowers her voice, you move closer, and the world fades out. Then there are the unconscious noises. The little sighs between sentences, the soft ums, the breathy exhalations that punctuate laughter. These aren't random. They're physiological expressions of rising arousal. Her breathing pattern is shifting, her vocal cords are loosening, and those sounds are byproducts of that process. The more comfortable she becomes, the more her voice carries that unmistakable undercurrent of warmth. Even her laughter changes. A woman who's genuinely attracted doesn't giggle politely, she laughs fully, with depth and ease. That laughter lasts longer, and it's contagious because it's tied to real dopamine release. You'll feel the difference instantly because it doesn't sound like courtesy, it sounds like chemistry. And if you listen closely, you'll notice something subtle yet profound. Her voice starts to mirror yours. The tempo, the pitch, the pauses, they begin to align. It's her nervous system syncing with yours, creating conversational rhythm that feels effortlessly natural. You don't even realize it's happening until the air between you feels charged, like every word carries more meaning than it should. The truth is, the voice is one of the most intimate forms of touch. When she speaks with that quiet, magnetic tone, she's not just communicating information, she's connecting frequencies. Her biology is tuning itself to yours. And once that happens, attraction stops being a concept. It becomes a sound. Desire starts quietly, but when it deepens, it changes form. What begins as curiosity soon becomes something more primal. Territory. When a woman's attraction intensifies, her biology activates an ancient instinct buried deep within her evolutionary wiring, the urge to mark, to claim, and to protect what she wants. It's subtle, rarely conscious, but unmistakable to anyone who knows what to look for. The first shift is positioning. When other women are around, pay attention to where she stands. The one who's genuinely attracted will start placing herself between you and potential rivals. She subtly angles her body to face you while blocking others from easy access. She might lean closer, touch your arm, or laugh a little louder when another woman enters the conversation. None of it looks aggressive on the surface, but underneath, it's the same ancient behavior found in nature staking a claim without saying a word. Then there's the sudden change in energy. Her attention becomes sharper, more focused. She stops multitasking socially and directs all her engagement toward you. Her laughter comes quicker, her physical proximity shortens, and her gestures grow more expressive. She's sending a silent message, I'm with him. These displays aren't conscious strategy, they're instinctive competition tactics refined by evolution. In early human tribes, showing proximity to a desired partner discouraged rivals while signaling loyalty. The instinct remains, even if the setting has changed from campfires to cocktail bars. Jealousy is another giveaway, but not the loud, dramatic kind. It's quieter, more telling. If she sees you chatting with another woman, she might momentarily withdraw, go silent, or conversely, become even more animated, touching you, teasing you, reminding both you and everyone else that she's present. Her body language becomes slightly possessive, a hand on your shoulder, a lean in that closes off the space around you, an unconscious narrowing of her eyes. It's not about control. It's about biology signaling investment. You'll also notice her speech changing. She starts using we instead of you. She brings up future plans, places you should go, things you should do together. She creates private references, little shared jokes that only the two of you understand. These verbal cues are subtle ways of building emotional exclusivity. She's weaving you into her personal narrative before you've even realized it's happening. Even her grooming shifts during this phase. She checks her reflection more often, fixes her hair, adjusts her clothing, subtle acts of self-presentation meant to maintain your attention and remind potential competitors that she's the one standing beside you. The irony is, these behaviors often come wrapped in modesty. She's not flaunting. She's fortifying. This is where attraction transforms from chemistry into strategy. Her instincts are no longer just about signaling desire, they're about protecting it. She's defending her emotional investment the same way her ancestors protected their mating prospects, through proximity, presence, and subtle dominance. And if you're paying attention, you'll see the difference instantly. The woman who's merely polite keeps her distance. The one who's genuinely interested closes ranks. She doesn't need to announce her claim, her body already has. Because when real attraction hits, it stops being passive. It becomes territorial. And every move she makes from that point on carries one message beneath the surface. Don't touch what I've already chosen. Here's where everything comes together, the moment where scattered clues start forming a pattern. Because real attraction isn't a single sign or a lucky guess. It's a biological constellation. A woman's eyes, posture, voice, and touch don't act independently. They synchronize, forming a system of signals that either align or contradict. And once you learn to recognize that alignment, you'll stop confusing friendliness for chemistry and politeness for passion. The key is understanding clusters. Anyone can display one isolated sign, pupil dilation, laughter, or a playful touch, but a single cue means nothing without context. True attraction announces itself through consistency. Her eyes soften while her body leans closer. Her voice slows as her laughter deepens. Her self-touch, posture, and proximity all converge into a rhythm of alignment. You're no longer guessing. You're observing a biological chorus performing in unison. Science calls this phenomenon behavioral synchrony. When two people feel genuine chemistry, their nervous systems begin to mirror each other. Breathing patterns align. Movements sync up. Even heart rates can fall into similar rhythms. It's not magic, it's neurobiology. Dopamine, oxytocin, and adrenaline start looping through both bodies, creating a feedback system of connection. You might call it vibe, but biologically, it's resonance. This is why attraction feels so undeniable when it's real. You can't fake synchronization. The woman who's truly drawn to you doesn't have to think about mirroring. Her body just does it. Her reactions become fluid, intuitive. The pauses between your sentences match the pauses in hers. Her gestures start echoing yours. Her tone falls into your rhythm. Even silence feels comfortable, like the two of you are breathing in the same tempo. Context, though, is everything. These patterns appear differently in different environments. In a professional setting, signals will be restrained, controlled, smaller gestures, tighter posture. In relaxed social contexts, they expand. You'll see more laughter, freer movement, longer glances. The environment determines how loudly biology is allowed to speak, but it doesn't change the language itself. Misinterpretation happens when men focus on one behavior instead of the full equation. A woman might touch your arm but avoid eye contact, confusion. She might laugh but angle her body away, mixed signals. But when you see clusters, eye contact, leaning in, lowered voice, open posture, that's no coincidence. That's the nervous system in stereo. Recognizing these patterns gives you something powerful: clarity. It removes the uncertainty that drives most social frustration. You stop chasing false interest and start responding to real connection. You become attuned to energy rather than performance. And once you see the truth, it's impossible to unsee. Because attraction isn't random, it's rhythmic. It's a biological choreography happening in real time, written by instincts older than civilization. And when her signals align, when her body, voice, and presence form that unmistakable pattern, you'll know beyond a doubt. She's not just talking to you. Her biology is calling to you. Most men go their entire lives thinking attraction is about charm, timing, or luck. They memorize lines, watch for smiles, or wait for permission. But attraction doesn't live in words, it lives in biology. It's older than logic, older than language, and infinitely more honest. Once you learn to see it, you realize how much truth the body has been screaming while the mind tried to stay silent. Every human carries this ancient software inside them. The woman across from you isn't consciously performing. Her body is reacting to the same primal codes that shaped human survival for hundreds of thousands of years. The dilation of her pupils, the turn of her shoulders, the softening of her voice, all of it is a biological symphony of attraction and self-protection. It's her nervous system whispering, "I'm interested," while her social conditioning begs her to remain composed. Learning to read these signals isn't about control or manipulation. It's about awareness. It's understanding how nature communicates beneath the surface of modern life. Because once you tune into this frequency, the confusion disappears. You stop mistaking kindness for chemistry or friendliness for desire. You begin to sense intention long before it's spoken, and that changes everything, not just in attraction, but in presence, confidence, and clarity. The truth is, attraction isn't random, it's patterned, predictable, and profoundly human. The same instincts that guided our ancestors still guide us today, disguised beneath polite smiles and casual conversations. But when her body begins to align, when her eyes linger and her voice softens, when she leans closer instead of away, you're no longer guessing. You're witnessing biology itself revealing connection. And that realization gives you power, not dominance, but understanding. Power to move through the world with precision instead of confusion. Power to recognize what's real and what's performance. Because every moment you misread is time lost chasing an illusion, and every moment you read correctly is a chance to connect with authenticity. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation that feels charged, don't rush to fill the silence. Watch. Listen to what's not being said. Her words might tell one story, but her biology will tell the truth. That's the art of awareness. That's the difference between guessing and knowing. If this breakdown opened your eyes, if you've started noticing how the body reveals what the mouth hides, then you've already taken your first step toward real emotional intelligence. The kind that separates those who understand human nature from those who keep stumbling through it blindly. Like the video, share it, and subscribe if you want to keep learning how psychology, biology, and human behavior intertwine beneath the surface. Because in a world where everyone's talking, the ones who quietly read the signals always win. The body never lies. It never fakes, never flatters, never hides. It only tells the truth if you're intelligent enough to see it.